It's Mark Husson's Astrology Hour. Time for you to expect something wonderful.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Mark Husson. This is Mark Husson's Astrology Hour, coming to you live on October 30th, 2023. And it's just about 1 minute after 8 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, 1 minute after 11 on the East Coast. How are ya? Oh my gosh, we're going to watch the very ends of the Taurus moon sort of shift away, and then we're going to be in Gemini moon. We get to do it together. That is so cool. I love that. If you're new to the show and you want to join in the beautiful chat room that we have over on Facebook, you just go into 12radio.com. Look on the left-hand column, click the chat word, and you will be catapulted into our beautiful landscape on Facebook. And you'll see the banner that Jay, my awesome producer, put up for us at the very top. And you will also, let's see, it says here that the content may not be available. That's so cute. Facebook, whatever. But anyway, come over. You'll see the chat room. Look for the comment section. And it says that there are some people here that we get to say hi to. Let's see who's here. Alishaya is in the house. How you doing, Alishaya? Welcome. Good to see you. Lynn Goldberg. Hi, Lynn. It's truly happy full moon eclipse. The afterglow, you're right, and our pre-Halloween show. It's so good to have you here. Thanks for always being such great support, and I never want you to feel pressure. And when I say that, like, if you don't come, but you're so good, so appreciate you so much. The Truly is in the house. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you guys are going to plan on having some fun. We do crazy Halloween here. It's not like really what traditional crazy is. I don't dress up. John doesn't dress up, but we got sort of in this loop. And I think it's sort of a compensation for childhood stuff. What isn't? But we have these bags, and there's probably 12 items in each bag, from candy to little toys. And, we don't think how are these kids going to carry it. We won't go that far. We just load it. So we have the bags loaded, and we're out a little bit in a rural area. And so the kids kind of come in truckloads. And so you kind of like, you make a batch and you see, how many you're going to have left over. And it snowed a lot yesterday. So we'll see tomorrow if it warms up enough for the kids to come out. I know for me, nothing stopped me from my wanting to go get that candy. Nothing. I hope you guys are doing well. Like I said, it is a Gemini moon today. I want to look at a few things today. We have the Spookapalooza. Hopefully you heard the commercial right before the show started. Kelly McLean has really met with every single person. And why Kelly? What's that? Kelly, because I asked her, would she be interested? And she said yes. And she has this incredible creative mind. If you know Kelly, if you've heard Kelly, she writes bit scopes. She's definitely fearless about what she puts out there, but it just sort of flies through. So she's going to host pretty much all the shows, but CA and I are going to be with her on the opening show at noon to talk about Hitchcock and some of the fun things we noticed about the astrology of the movies. You're going to learn some things you never knew about, not just Hitchcock, but about what we came up with. It's kind of fun. So I hope you can join us. It's just something to kick back, put the radio on, let us play with you, and enjoy the ride. Really, it'll be fun. Welcome, Julie. It's good to see you. Oh, she set an alarm so she wouldn't miss the show. That's so sweet. She said, I'm not usually an aggressive, angry Aries, but whoa, this was some crazy energy. It was. We're going to talk about it. I kind of went back in time. So I hope you'll join us. You guys just sit tight. Just hopefully you can just keep us on. We have an app. Just download the 12radio.com app from either Apple or Google, and you can enjoy it with us wherever you go. I listen to it in the car. So we had a full moon eclipse on Saturday. And, a lot of times, a lot of astrologers, it's like a trend, the trends, it's trendy to say that either something's a big deal or something isn't a big deal. Now I think the trend is a lot of astrologers are like, I don't notice anything different with eclipses, and that's okay. You got to take a stand and sort of make your mark somewhere, right? And like my mom and dad did, right? They made their mark. And so you have to just live your life, look at what's happening around you, see if you get the energy and the flow of how you are connected to all of it. And I think this is a really important thing. If you constantly and continually and with a certain kind of commitment, stop seeing yourself as separate from what's happening, but as an effect of what's happening in the flow of what's happening, as above, so below. So whatever's happening in your life, of course, we're going to see reflection of it in the cosmos, and whatever's happening in the cosmos, we're going to see it reflected here. But I want you to kind of get out of that one causes the other. Okay. Just because it might help you a little more with the fluidity of recognizing that whatever your attention is called to, is possibly your subconscious mind, your beautiful friend, your invisible internal friend, knocking on the door of your awareness, so that you might sort of see it as a reflection of what's happening in your own world. Now, we know there's a war going on. We know it's ugly. There's no need to pick a side, because the whole thing's ugly, right? We know that. And you can have a side. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying that's not what this conversation is about. This conversation is about recognizing that on October 7th, Mars was exactly square Pluto. Mars is a planet of war. Pluto is death and destruction in one form, and that sort of kicked it off. And there's much more to it than that. But if you just look at that part of it, it started a trend. Suddenly, what becomes our information media is flooding us, and we're being flooded with this change in consciousness. Do you see what I'm saying? And you bring it home. And I've had the range of people in my life, some just furious and outraged, and it's the only thing that changed everything for them. That their trajectory that they thought they were on is now completely different. And I've had other people who like, when did that happen? And it started changing their trajectory. Like something else was going on in their life that they might even think they started the conflict first. Like they were their subconscious mind projects that energy out. So we have surrounding us a lot of change, a lot of outrage, a lot of anger, a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of joy and happiness. But if you look, it's kind of, that's a little, if you've been paying attention, it seems like a harder one to get our finger on, right? Harder one to get our mind wrapped around. And as the planets move, and that's the gift of astrology, in my opinion, as they start moving, we have a chance to go look at this map and go, oh my God, like what's the reflection of what I'm going through now? How is this settling out? So then we get this eclipse. We get this full moon eclipse in Taurus, and that you have to look in your chart and see what, where that takes place, what started solidifying for you, and what started becoming the place where you dug in. Because when you're a Taurus and when you're in that Taurus energy, there kind of becomes, if you know Tauruses, and I love talking to you all about this, but let's take a minute and just talk about Tauruses, because I know there's going to be a few of you out there. One of the things about Taurus is the atomacy, the immovability of their position. And what you'll notice is Tauruses are rarely neutral about anything. And we think of them as sort of like the cooks, maybe sometimes they're the grounded ones, and they have all that, right? But the Taurus part here I'm talking about is the one that sort of needs to hold, fixed earth, a place, needs to create a stable position, so to speak. And for Taurus, sometimes what we see is in the Taurus parts of all of us, We see this is good and this is bad. We see the black and white. We see ironically, we see a duality, but they're taking one side of the duality. And so where we are in our life, we take this side. Now, how does that show up for you? And I'm not talking about sides of a war. I think for us, it shows up is where you in your life made a decision over the past week, over the past 2 weeks, about something wrong in your life, or something right in your life, or someone wrong in your life, or someone right in your life. Okay. And we started digging unconsciously, maybe unconsciously, a safety niche for ourselves. We started digging a place where we could stand and know what we could expect, know what we could have, because when we're unsafe and we get an eclipse in Taurus, we're going to take shelter. We're going to find a spot that keeps us absolutely safe. So I want you to ask yourself, and I'll check the chat room too, how many lines were drawn in the sand for you this last week? Because it happens like the few days before the eclipse, a few days after the eclipse. But how many like, okay, I am not doing this anymore. I am done here. I am scared here. So this is my position. Like, think about it. I know that can be a daily occurrence for us for the rest of our lives, but particularly during this cycle, as we're watching this stuff unfold, as we're watching these extreme positions, some of them, like, so much stuff about the new Speaker of the House, right? And so, like, I'm being as neutral as I can with you guys. I know I don't have to be, but I want to be, because I don't want this to be necessarily a political show. I want this to be a show that helps you see how the outside reflects the inside and the inside reflects the outside, and what we can do about it. Okay? Because there's a lot you can do about it. One of the things that I want to have you pay attention to is the idea that not only was the moon in a fixed sign for the full moon, the sun, Mars, and Mercury are also in fixed signs. So, and those are the personal planets. Now, we call personal planets any planet that goes in order of the zodiac or of space, of cosmos, the actual cosmos, up to Saturn. Saturn is considered the gatekeeper to consciousness outside of ourselves. And I'm going to explain that a little bit. But you have all the personal planets, the sun dealing with your identity, the moon, your emotions and your needs, Mercury, your connection to other people, how you piece in your mind reality out here. Projection makes perception. That's Mercury. It's very important, because how we're seeing the world right now is in the lens of Scorpio. Okay, all of us. So I don't think there's very many of you right now neutral in anything. I know I generalize a lot, and you have to in astrology, but if you think about like things that you hold as a conviction, I bet some conviction is existing in our lives. Mars is in Scorpio. Mars is personal. It's your passion. It's what angers you. It's what gets you to leap forward. What is it that makes you mad enough to come forward? Scorpio. It's like what, and you know what Scorpio also brings up? A lot of blame. And Venus, same thing. What you appreciate, we appreciate the honesty, we appreciate truth, we appreciate digging down and finding what the truth is. But notice how the world right now has a dividing line. It's like, and the reason I mentioned the Speaker of the House is kind of a dividing line. Like, and those of you that aren't following politics, it's like, this was how they had, I know many of you remember, like they had 17 elections to get Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. In this one, it was 100% of the people voted for somebody whose position is so clearly established. I'm not going to get into it, but it's so clearly established that it's almost like a movie, like wow, this is what you believe in, and this is the person they elected to be the third in the succession of power. And that reflection. Now, if you get out of yourself long enough to see that as just a part of you, because what we tend to do unwittingly, is to become the thing we hate, become just as adamant, become just as afraid, become just as pointed in our positions. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're dealing with the personal planets up till Saturn. But when you start getting to your consciousness, when you start getting to an evolution, when you start getting to a place where you want to understand things a little differently and keep peace in your life, then you're going to have to deal with the fact that there might be some elasticity here for you to sort of look into somebody else's world. As egregious as it sounds sometimes. And I'm telling you, there are rights and wrongs. We're a nation of laws. There's victims and there's perpetrators and those are real. But in the underpinning of it, in the nuance of it, sometimes we have to be able to have some flexibility and some elasticity so that we can have some peace, because it takes, not in the world. I'm not interested in peace in the world. I'm interested in peace in your life, peace in our existence, peace in the reality that you can wake up and not feel this tension in your stomach because you're so mad or you're so scared, because that's what we'll do. Right? We pump it down and then we start distracting ourselves and then we start making these decisions. We pretend everything's okay on the outside, but we're carrying what's around you on the inside. Now, we're going to examine where some of this, so we know we're in the thick of Scorpio. We know that right now. So we know your positions are going to be extreme. They're going to be convictions, deep. They're going to be wounds. And wherever there's those things, especially where there's wounds, there's going to be blame. And there's going to be an external cause for that, where we perceive it as coming from the outside. I'm just putting that out there for you to be aware of, because there are some things here that I think could be useful for us. One, Jupiter is in Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus. So Jupiter is sort of saying get your position and hold to it, and there'll be a beauty that comes from that. And there's a beauty in being grounded. There's a beauty in anchoring yourself into the earth and realizing that there's a lot of things affecting you. There's a lot of energy coming at us. There's no question. And Uranus is saying, well, don't get too comfortable there because you don't want to get stuck. There's a lot of change happening as well. And you want to not anchor so deeply into any one position that you're stuck. And the positions that we anchor into, I'm not just talking geopolitically. I'm talking personal. I'm talking how many of you are still carrying anger at your parents? How many of you are still fighting with your siblings? How many of you are actively pushing against someone trying to, you perceive, control you, and they become the focus? And so awareness is the big one here, because it's in that awareness that you can pull yourself up a little bit and see the observer, get the observer going, so that in observing, you've detached just enough to see that there is a part of you that has all those things, and that's fine. But there's another place that I can go to look at all of it and sort of try to sort it out without using my brain. Just sort of okay, it's like if you have kids, the kids are in conflict right now, they're fighting. Let's sort of give them some breathing room. Not be afraid to see if somebody's being egregiously wrong or right, but also give them some space. Everybody has a story here. Let's hear both. The thing where the parent walks in the room and goes, I don't care who's wrong. I don't care. Stop this fighting now. Well, that's nice. And I'm sure I've done that. I don't want to make you feel bad for doing that, but it would be nice to hear the story, because there might be a truth of something going on that we need to be heard. Right. So you want to listen. And this Gemini moon, I think, as it kind of kicks in, it's coming really soon here. It'll help do that. Now, I'm going to continue with some of this, some of the pain and the wounds that we're dealing with. I want to check the room real quick, see how you guys are doing. Maya, thank you for being here. Nadine, happy Halloween. Good morning. Hi, Ann. Welcome. Your song made me dance this morning. Aw, I'm happy that you're here, Ann. Thank you. I like the happy song. I do. Renee, thank you for coming. Suzanne's in the house. Looking forward to all the good treats today. That's so nice of you guys to support us that way. I know that they've done a lot of hard work on this, and truthfully, it's a they thing. Kelly has put time into this. Jay had to. Jay's going to be doing the production. I'm going to sip my coffee here one sec. I have to talk to you about Ember mugs, which you guys are probably on top of, but those suckers are amazing because they keep your coffee hot and there's no plate that you have to have it on. It's like, oh, thank you. EMBER. I get nothing for it. Trust me. All right. So thank you. And because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to, there's another cycle that I'm in that my outside world looks like. And sometimes it looks like everyone else is apathetic, not caring, that I'm caring way too much. And I'm pushing this boulder up a hill. And I realized I have to, first of all, quit being the little martyr here, the victim who's thinking he's doing it all. And secondly, take care of myself, which was, Kelly, you want to do this? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And Jay was into it. So everybody's happy. And I'm like, good. So I get to play and be a part of it and listen like you guys do, but I don't have to sit there and moan about, it was hard getting everybody to play, because that's where I can find myself. And that's why I think I'm so sensitive to the whole victim thing, to blaming. Because blaming does immediately put me as a victim of something else, no matter what, even if I am actually the victim of something else. I'll talk to you about that in a second. Okay, let's see. I just wanted to just give a couple of shout outs because you all took the time to shout out to me. Pamela, thank you. Yeah, she said I made the mistake of listening to the news. It's so true. She said, bless you, Mark. I love how you reel me back in. I hope so, sweetheart. Thank you. Saturday night, 1 a.m., I sent an email saying, this is my line. Friday night, she said, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Lines in the sand. Yes, it was such a powerful 2 weeks. Yeah, remember? So, Julie, yeah, you drew a line. This is amazing. So, and Jennifer Lakshmi, thanks for being here, Jennifer, said that it was a powerful 2 weeks for her as well. And so it's interesting that you guys, thanks for affirming that we drew some lines in the sand, because sometimes we don't know that how much we're taking on. Sometimes we don't know. I don't ever know how much I'm taking on. I don't, and I get it reflected back when I see maybe John being a little pulled in, like him being pulled in is sort of showing me that I'm just overflowing. And other people, like when I've noticed that my patience is slimmer, that everything that comes out of me is a criticism. Like that's the power of the observer. If you can grab him or her to say, or it, yeah, it's kind of like this thing that watches us, to say, you take a minute. You got some energy happening here. Take a minute. Just pull it in. Don't judge it, whatever. But where is the overload coming from? It's a question I like to ask friends of mine. Where is the pressure on your neck coming from? What are you carrying? What is that? And one at a time, let's see if we can find the one heaviest boulder and take a look at it and see if it makes sense that boulder should be there. Sometimes they're there because there's some real worries and we have to lock them down and we sort of walk around with them. But here's the thing I'm trying to get at. If we use the planets, if we use this sort of time period as a way to understand the energy that's around us, and like this is Scorpion, we're not in a fixed sign world, fixed sign, meaning Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, Leo. When those signs are predominant, choice is pretty limited. We don't want it. Okay, we don't want the choice. We want to be on the good side of something. And we want to be steady and we want to feel safe and we want to be unburdened. And so we don't basically take our eye off of anything. Okay. So you're watching everything like, okay, I got to go to work. So I'm going to just, I know that I got to call the bank at some point and get this, and you're carrying it. Or, I'm going to ignore what they said to me this morning and I'm going to go in and, just do my day, but it's in there. Right. And so there's a little thing and then we just sort of cover it, we bury it. And then next thing we know, we're sort of circling our neck a little bit because our shoulders are so tight. So the world and the fighting and the fear that we feel and all that, we can bring that home a little bit. Okay. If we can bring it home by saying that's a reflection. That's, I'm seeing, and how I'm seeing it is my projection. I'm projecting this thing out there that's terrifying me and it's scaring the hell out of me. And it's in that moment where you have abandoned ship. Okay. I want you to hear that. It's where in that moment where you're almost hysterically clear that you are helpless and you're a victim of what's happening in the world around you. You just left the building. And who did you leave behind? The kid in us that's terrified. So if you're in a state of fear right now, even if you let's say it's not about the war. Let's say it's about somebody close to you might die. Let's say it's about somebody who already has died. Let's say it's whatever fear Scorpio brings us, right? I have woken up from many a night's sleep afraid that I'm older than I really think I am. And how many days do I have left kind of thing. I mean, well, and that's a question anyone could ask legitimately, but when you're in your 60s, and pushing 70, you're kind of like, the days left are less than the days lived. So you think about those things. It comes up. And how you deal with that in that moment, how I deal with it, is going to be crucial to the way I do my life that day. And if I just sort of stay there and think about it and get scared or cry or whatever, in a way I've abandoned ship because I didn't create a counter narrative for myself, a supportive voice. I know that's a cold word to have for a supportive voice, but some way different. Maybe not thinking about that stuff or, saying, hey, come on, let's look over here. Take a minute. Love your boys. Be happy where you are. Everything's going to be okay. You can take care of anything that's worrying you, blah, blah, blah. That's where, when we're in a state of fear, that's usually the first thing to go to abandon us. I can't tell you how many texts and emails this week of people in dire, awful mental states. And I remember mentioning it to John, it is so interesting how the war and then the people are falling apart in so many ways. And you just want to bring a little light. You just want to bring a little laughter. You want to bring a little companionship and safety and hope. And you realize there's a couple of places where I saw this feels so deliberate. This feels like this person is so deliberately unwilling to unhook from this. And so sometimes you just have to let it play. And that's true for me as well. You just sometimes have to, keep it going. So as we're floating through, and that's why I want us to get some hope here. We have some amazing things coming up. And I'm not talking about the 1-2 family. I'm talking about in astrology, some of the most amazing, Saturn just went into Pisces, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. It's been in there it's retrograding. It's been in Pisces, but it's at 0 Pisces right now, being retrograde, and it's stopping, and it's going to go forward. It goes forward this weekend. So Saturn in Pisces going forward is basically saying, now think about Pisces is compassion. It's our water. It's our connection to the world. We feel like it's gone when it's retrograde. We feel like there isn't any. We feel like the boundaries are off. Saturn's stopping, going backwards, and Saturday starts moving forward. And and it's in water with all the other water signs, right? So it's meeting all that Scorpio stuff. Neptune is in water. It's also in Pisces. And so these guys, these big players are kind of coming forward saying there's some new space for this to exist. Now, see, when you get past Saturn and you look at Neptune, Neptune is sort of like the deeper collective of our astral bodies. It's sort of like, wow, this thing is dancing, that's pharmaceuticals and all this sort of these magic drugs that have come about. As Neptune gets later into Pisces, it's almost going to be in Aries soon. We see the breakthroughs as a planet leaves the end of a sign. We start seeing like the intensity of it. Well, guess what? Pluto's at the end of a sign. Pluto's at the end of Capricorn. It's dying. And that's how I see it. It's sort of like, when you have, something that's sick, lived a full life, and they're sick and they have these moments of resuscitation, but then, eventually, they're kind of, I don't want to depress you, but Pluto is kind of doing that in Capricorn. It's going to leave Capricorn in January. And Capricorn is this government stuff, all this awful, Capricorn is kind of like, I've always said, take off those rose-colored glasses and you look at the world. Capricorn is your reality, right? Capricorn is just stark reality. And it's government and it's corporations and all this stuff. And it's like we're seeing this huge change in consciousness around this stuff. And the death rattle happens in a year, but the sort of like moments in and out right now are very close. You get some breathing room in January for almost 9 months. And ironically, maybe, or never coincidentally, in November, we go back to seeing it one last time. Something's beeping at me and I have no idea what it is, but it's pretty. You ever, in the world of chimes and tunes, it's sort of like, I know the refrigerator door is open. It's almost like my mantra I sing. It's become so familiar. Not so much the laundry is done one, which I should really get that one in my head more. All right. So we're seeing this Saturday, we're going to see this shift. And I think the Capricorn is Saturn rules Capricorn, speaking of Capricorn. So we're going to see the Capricorns among us sort of coming back into awareness. We're going to see the Pisces people feeling that they're getting a little more support than they have been. See, all this Saturn retrograde stuff makes us feel like we're losing the grip. We're losing support. But watch what happens Saturday. So that's what I meant about there's good things moving. Taurus, the Jupiter and Taurus function, Jupiter's going forward, right? These planets are moving quickly. So it's going to catch up with Uranus. We're going to see a Jupiter-Uranus thing, which is kind of like surprise luck. Like really like, okay, this is pretty extraordinary. That's coming. And I'll get dates for you in my next show. But I want you to feel the shifts. Now, as we go through Scorpio, the only one thing you have to do, really, pay attention to your adamancy. Pay attention to the things that you've just decided are bad and just decided are good. And it's fine. Just notice that you've decided. That's all you have to do. Notice you've made a decision. And then see where you're doing that in your own life. Okay? Like about you as a person. And some of this adamancy is to not judge yourself, to take the hatred that you often give yourself and project it outward. And it's like some relief, but you're just displacing it instead of sort of like busting it open, which Scorpio wants you to do. Just see the truth. Maybe there's nothing for you to hate on yourself about anymore. You notice how in these fixed energies, you're tough on yourself, like extraordinarily tough. And sometimes so tough that you have to project some of that outward, that somebody else is being tough on you. So I want you to sort of play with that concept. I'm coming back into the room and refreshing and saying hi. I want to make sure haven't lost you guys. And there's so much, when I got ready for the show today, I was like, I'm going to read them that. This was really powerful. Okay. So we have, Karen Erickson, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you in the room, honey. Chris, I don't care who started it. Everyone gets a whooping. Right? That's funny. I think that's how they did it at my home, I think, when the kids were crazy. Looking forward to today. Hi, Tiff. Welcome. The Virgos kind of came in mass. It's funny. Suzanne, let's see. Yes, 2 weeks. Had to redraw the line in the sand with a family member concerned about the holidays. Terry, had to officially dissolve a multi-year romantic relationship after information was revealed in the past 2 weeks. Wow, it is sad, but I'm okay overall. I sense this shift might be happening. I am a Taurus. So Terry, congratulations. You made a decision. You got information. You acted on it. And I'm sorry. It sounds like it might have been tough. I just encourage you with it, just be gentle on yourself. Pamela, the Scorpio is more concerned, let's be honest, scared than angry. War, politics, mass shootings, birthday on the 4th, wishing more comfort, hope. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yes, wishing for more hope, peace, and healing for all. Yeah, there was a shooting too. And then all the dumb debate about it. The same rhetoric. It's like, it doesn't it feel like you're in a dream? Like what? If we had this dream that another one, oh, we should do this. Oh, another one, oh, we should do that. It's like, okay. It's like, whatever. So all of that, I want you to hear, all of that is what I believe we get to see come to some actual clarity when Pluto hits Aquarius. I think that's going to be where humanity wins. We start seeing things for this silliness that we think, this thing we think we're protecting, we really aren't. But that sort of like where you've been in a twilight zone where are you the only one who thinks this is bad? Because surely like that feeling, it used to be that feeling that there is not a single person in the world who will not believe this is bad. And in our day and age, it's like crazy. Now, yeah, there's somebody who thinks it's good no matter what. And I do think social media has a lot to do with it. We can just hear the voices. I don't think we're that different as people. I think it's always been this way. Honestly, I do. I think the dual system, the dualistic system is in full swing, always has been. We just get to hear it a lot more, which is why I've toned down my social media interaction. I actually feel somebody said it to me in a way where it's like TikTok is controlling you by directing the algorithm at what to show you. And it's like, oh, I like that. Well, of course you do. The algorithm knew what you liked by a couple of your choices. And so we're seeing the things we want to see again on social media, but we think it's the majority. We think the world sees our view that way. We're being reinforced. So it is possible to snap out of it. It is possible to take a minute, to take a break. It is possible to not see the world as black and white, to see the world as fluid. And I wanted to read you something. Oh God, you're going to read? No, I swear. I think it's going to be interesting. It's very short. This is Liz Green, who I adore. And she said here, it's a tricky business navigating between what actually happens in concrete reality and how we perceive and interpret what happens. There's sometimes a blurred line between victim and persecutor. Sometimes the exploitation of this can lead to horrible abuse within the legal system. How many cases of rape have been dismissed by blaming the victim for being allegedly provocative? How many cases of persecution resulting in the destruction of a reputation and a career have arisen from an angry person taking revenge for a past rejection through a fictitious or grossly amplified accusation of sexual harassment? Which cases are truly abuse and which are like beauty in the eye of the beholder? Are we always objective enough to discern the difference? Sometimes the blame game can become a hall of mirrors in which we lose our moral compass and become the very thing we hate. And what she's talking about here that I think is really exciting is the difference between Saturn, and she says it here, the coherence of any society depends on Saturn's laws and the sense of safety that every individual feels within the protective structure of those laws. There are injuries to which we as individuals and as society may be subjected where it's essential to find the culprit and punish them. Suggesting that a tough childhood or economic deprivation excuses the perpetrator may not be very convincing in such situations. Every human has choices, however difficult their background and circumstances. But in Chiron's world, Saturn's approach tends to fail because even the achievement of a just verdict in the outer world won't heal the wound in the inner world. Something else is required. When Chiron is involved in the connection between two people in a relationship, it's often counterproductive and even destructive to approach the morally painful dynamic through Saturn's definition of blame. External justice may be necessary in the external world, but it won't alleviate Chiron's inner suffering. So two things happening. We have a world where there is a right and wrong, and we have an inner world that perpetrated it from something else. And in our personal willingness to look inside, in our personal willingness to uncover my wounds as an individual, what I perceived as wounded. Like when I look out at the world based on my history with a drug addicted mother, an absent father, based on my history, when I see certain scenarios come together that reflect that, I may react automatically if I don't take a minute to realize my history and who I am and how I might be putting these things together in a way that makes me the victim again and again and again and again and again. So very powerful stuff. Our job, right, and my job with you and your job with me and our job as people, to keep our one finger on the pulse of the outside world is simply a reflection of an inner existence. And how we move out into that world very much will change as we kind of light some pathways within our own psyche. And you do that with hard work. You do that with taking a minute and painfully looking at something and asking the question you don't want to ask. Whatever that might be, but asking the question you don't want to ask. Why is it so fun to hate this person? Why is it so easy to forgive them? The inverse of that. Why are you always forgiving them? Like that kind of thing. Those are tough. So sometimes we use astrology and the current time period to help us unravel that. Now, Neptune has been in Pisces. I can't even begin to tell you the matrix that brings us into. And I mean the movie. You ever seen those Star Treks where they go, wait a minute, something's wrong. I'm the only one that realizes we're in a different reality. Like you weren't the captain in this other reality. That kind of thing. That's where we are. And I'm not kidding. Pisces and Neptune together has painted a sort of unreal dream. And do you notice that the solution in all the movies, do you take the blue pill or the red pill, for example, are you willing to wake up a minute and see that you kind of have been duped? Maybe. Just whatever it might be, whatever duped is for you, but there's a part of your consciousness that isn't in this dream. And sort of working a little bit to wake that part up might be a really nice thing to do. When do you do that? Maybe when the planets are in Scorpio, fearlessly digging in, fearlessly looking below the surface of something. I mean, how can any of us be adamantly sure? How do you take a position in this world? How do you take a position? If you took a minute to really look at the life and the history and the work of one person who you might be angry with, how do you hold a position that you're so sure they're so bad? And then conversely, if you keep doing that, how do you ever hold them accountable? So it's a thing you have to maneuver through. But I'm just saying, take the pill that wakes you up, but take it gently. And when it gets too real, take the other one. No, and don't forget that you can wake up at any moment. It's just loving yourself through the process of kind of waking up. And when the planets are all in water, when they're all in air, there's so no connection to the emotional body. It's like, oh, it's this, and I can stand firmly in this position because you're a mind. Of course you can. When you get into the waters, welcome. Okay, and in that world, that's where you actually, the wisdom of the emotional body is like, I can tell that I'm feeling this super hyper allegiance here, but there probably is another truth that I can be open to. I'll set the conditions right so I can accept it, and I can bring that in. So we have that a lot to look forward to. The planets are moving forward. Pluto will end its reign in Capricorn for 9 months. So we'll get a chance to breathe in some of the Aquarian stuff of it. Let me check on you guys. I keep hearing some beautiful tone back here. I mean, it could be the new fire alarm. Like, get out in a really loving thing. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, that is so weird. I mean, it is. I just hit refresh and a post from 4 years ago with my old banner came up. Isn't that weird? Okay, maybe even longer. All right, so I got you guys here. I'm checking you out. Hold on. Okay. Audra, I'm sorry, I was reading to myself. Audra said, "This sucks. My life is disintegrating on every level. Thank you for being there for us." Audra, I want you to be. I'm sorry things are falling apart. You have to see that this is where you grab the hand of your little girl. Grab the hand of Audra, who's terrified that things are moving, and just make sure your responsibility is keeping her afloat and keeping her close to you and in the belief that you're going to be okay. You have to bring that forward. You have to have a willingness, because I'm rooting for you, whatever you're doing, okay? Kelly McLean is in the house. Kelly, I bragged about you all morning because of your hard work and commitment to the Spookapalooza that's coming up. I'm going to play the commercial here again after the show, but thank you for being here, and thanks so much. And thank you, Denise. That's so kind. You guys, we have work cut out for us. I have to... I was going to say something mean about little Duncan. God love him. He just looked up after he barked like, oops, Daddy's at the microphone. Okay. This Chiron is in Aries is a warrior. It's the wound of the warrior. And it's getting close to the North Node, which is like the other side of Aries, which is the healing part of Aries, is the one that says, to believe in something so that my individual soul can believe in something so deep and pure and real that I can transform things here. And that is what the world is kind of looking at, this healing of war, the healing of anger, the need to be right, the need to be, and you know what we're doing unconsciously when we want to be right? Unconsciously, this is my belief, we're sort of saying, we don't believe we're good, but if I can make you look really bad, then my good looks better, or my bad looks less bad. That's what blame can also do, okay? Which means it's just a silly game we play. And if we just accepted the fact that we're okay, we are okay, there's nothing we need to do remorse about. We can do actual forgiveness, which true forgiveness, in my opinion, is recognizing that there was no crime committed in the first place, in that what you acted and what you did in the best that you knew how. And you bring some love back in. You start breathing that in. As these planets are in water right now, this is a great opportunity to experience the love. Now, all signs love. Water signs have no advantage over love. In fact, water signs, when they espouse love, are loving less usually than when they're just having the feeling of love, just having a moment of appreciation. So telling someone I love you means, to me, it's like, that's okay. That's, whatever you need to do. But experiencing a love for somebody, just having your heart there and looking at somebody with a sort of tenderness, you don't have to say anything, right? That's for all signs. All elements can experience that. And that's what I want us to have. So on this spooky day before Halloween, which I love, because I do feel like if the spirits are closer to us, if the veil is thinner during Halloween, then guess what? It's a great time to do. Be grateful. Say thanks. Say hi to your grandmothers. I got to say hi to mine. And just find kindness in the things we do. Find that moment of gratitude. And you see, this is where gratitude is our secret key. And I don't like to harp on the silliness of it. It just sounds so silly. Like, affirmations can start sounding silly if you just do them because they're words that you say over and over. You might believe them and sort of cover up more fear. But gratitude, to actually experience a gratitude, think about your loved ones, think about people who have passed, think about people who you never really understood, didn't like. There's people I'm so glad died. I'm so glad died. Bye. But I can still be grateful for whatever impact that had on my life. And I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to pretend I love everybody. And I don't want you to either. So, couple things. Use the gratitude board at 12listen.com. Go write, I swear to you, anonymous. Everything's anonymous. Nothing. We don't ask for anything of you. Just type in there what you're grateful for. You make it up if you have to, but take a minute to be grateful for this time period. I am so deeply grateful for each and every one of you. I can't even begin to tell you. The fact that I can get into a microphone and think that somebody might hear me and be okay with it is extraordinary to me, still is to this day. So please go type in some gratitude notes at 12listen. It's at the bottom on the left-hand side if you're on a computer, and it'll be just scroll down until you see it if you're on a mobile device. And just type something that you're grateful for during the Halloween time where the veil is thinner, right? And we're making it all up, right? But play with the collective a little bit. It kind of, sometimes it works. If the flow of the collective is going in this direction, well, jump in, let it row for you for a little bit, right? So if the flow says the veil's thinner, okay, let me say some things that I've needed to say to people that I've lost and loved and hated and not loved. So there's that. Please, 12listen Radio. We have Christina LaFrance up next, and then Lori Love, both troopers in the online broadcasting. I respect them each so deeply and grateful for them. And then right after Lori's show, Kelly McLean is bringing me back with CA to talk about some scary stuff. Not really, but some fun stuff that, I'm going to be a student as much as I am going to be a teacher in this show. And then the rest of the day is our fun Spookapalooza. So I'm going to get that commercial on right before I sign out, but I'm going to check and see, do you all have any questions coming up? Remember, Saturday is the Power Peak thing today is, the Power Peak is, I just saw where the music was coming from. Pumpkin is the password, lowercase, markhusson.com. It's pumpkin to get in. And let's see here. Oh, how fun. Last night I lit a fire, poured a glass of wine, and watched the birds. No, you did not. I love that. I love that show. God, I love that movie. Tippi Hedren, Bodego Bay, and Jay was visiting somewhere, and I said, that's Bodego Bay. That's where the birds were filmed, and got me a mug from there. Isn't that sweet? Saturday night, 1 a.m., I sent an email saying I'm sorry, I read that already. Hi, Julie. Good for you. I'm still so proud of you. I love that. Not that I have anything. Proud is such a condescending word, and I don't mean it that way. Love Liz Green. Love ACIM. Thanks for the reminder. Audra, thank you. Okay, right now I'm grateful for dark chocolate. Put that in writing. Let's go. And Neptune and Pisces in the 12th, along with Mercury, Chiron, Venus, and Saturn. Well, no wonder you're feeling it so deeply, Audra. You definitely got to have some compassion there and let the wisdom come through. Just keep love open. I'm grateful for you, Mark. Lynn Goldberg, I'm grateful for you too. Thank you. Your show always feels so supportive, helps me make sense of what's happening in my life. Julie, ditto. Okay. Me and CA were talking yesterday, almost 3 hours about the shows. She's a whiz kid, you know. I know you all know that already. And Kelly, add that. I'm going to be the student in this. You guys, this is Mark Husson. This is Mark Husson's Astrology Hour. Hugs. Love you. Thank you. I'm going to talk to you at noon Pacific. I'm going to leave us with Kelly's commercial. All right. And then I'm signing off.
Hey, Kelly McLean here. Many of the show hosts and myself are working hard behind the scenes over here at 12 Radio to bring you a full day of spooky, fantastical, bizarre, creative entertainment for Halloween. On Monday, October 30th, after the regular Monday shows, Jay will be producing his butt off to bring you witches, ghost stories, exclusive interviews with famous guests, comedy, and even a seance or two. Clear your schedule, get ready to cozy up with your favorite tea or beverage of your choice, and let us entertain you. We can't wait. Hope to see you there.